Hey everyone, welcome to Basics 2. Thank you for joining me. Please excuse the noise that this squirrel is making. He's so loud. The squirrels are crazy around here in Utah. They're always torturing the dogs. Do your squirrels do that? So today I'm going to take you through the 4 suits that represent the 4 seasons of the world and the 4 seasons of life. If you didn't know about the synchronicities that exist between the deck of cards and the way of the world, the 52 cards represent the 52 weeks of the year. Did you know that? I've been spreading this information for 10 years and nobody I ever come into contact with knows or has ever thought that the 52 cards in the deck have anything to do with the 52 weeks of the year. But they do. There's a reason that there's 52. And there's a reason that there's 4 suits, because there's 4 seasons. And there's a reason that there's 13 faces or numbers in each suit, because there's 13 lunar cycles in the year. And the 12 court cards represent the 12 months of the year, Jack, Queen, and King, times the 4 suits. And then when you add up all of the cards, base being 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, through plus 13 for King, but you do that 4 times, once for each of the 4 suits, you get 364. Add the Joker is 365 and a fourth, because it doesn't just take 365 days for the Earth to circle the sun, right? It takes 365 days and 6 hours, so 1 1/4 days. The Joker equals 1 1/4 days, and he also comes only on December 31st. Each day of the year is governed by a card, and multiple cards, but one main card. And the only day that the Joker rules is December 31st. What other day of the year do we have no idea what could possibly happen? Does everyone collectively, as a whole populace of Earth, know that we don't know what could happen? And further, the King of Spades, who is the most powerful card of all, he represents 52 out of 52, the lessons of every single card culminating into the King of Spades. He only comes on January 1st. Because what other day of the year do we all know that we have the power to completely change and revolutionize our lives, right? January 1st is the day of the year where everybody is trying to institute some kind of change into their life, right? Mostly. Some people are very skeptical about that kind of thing. And to the skeptics, I say, be skeptical, but also have an open mind and an open heart. So in this video, I'm just going to quickly take you through what each of the suits represents and how they come to represent each of the seasons, and then also the seasons of life. So it all starts with the hearts, with the little baby hearts. Hearts are the children. I am definitely a heart. Hearts are the children. We are the babies of life. We want to see, touch, feel, do everything so excited, so excitable, like little kids. We are often gullible, we're naive, we might be ignorant just because we don't ignorant towards some things just because we're not as far along as some of the other cards. The spades, which represent the old souls, are going to be a little deeper and a little darker than a little baby heart. Hearts represent the springtime of life, when things are just starting to be born. And they represent a time in life when we're really unmarred as of yet by societal bullcrap, you know? When you're a kid, you don't know that anyone is like judging you about anything. You're just going through your life purely based on emotion. You love this, you love that, you want to go do all of the things, and you don't ever realize, man, that squirrel is going crazy. You don't really realize much outside of yourself and like your direct experience with like what you are doing in the world. You're a child, you're purely based on emotion. That's all you know. So hearts, this is all a symbology. So hearts are the symbol of love, of family, of home, and also of children, of youth, of the beginning of life, when emotion is mostly how we operate in the world. Okay? So then, as you start to grow up, things get a little hotter in the summer. And the clubs represent the next part of life after childhood. So think about in like middle school and high school when you're like, oh, do I need to like do my makeup like that? Or do I need to like wear that brand? Or do I need to say those words to be cool? Or we all start getting these insecurities, right? In puberty, or maybe a little before, or maybe a little after. But you can't just purely operate as a child through only emotion forever. You have to learn to communicate about who you are to the world. So the clubs are the realm of communication. They are anything having to do with the mind. The three leaves of the club represent creativity, intuition, and intelligence, and all of those being brought down from whatever dimension is above us to earth through the stem, using humans as the instrument through which creativity, intelligence, and intuition can come to fruition through a human. So clubs represent the mind. They represent thoughts, ideas, beliefs, philosophies. They also represent teaching and learning, conversation, communication, and definitely art. And though art transcends all the suits, and every person, whoever you are an artist in some way or another, even the most boring accountant, and I'm a freaking accountant. So no offense to accountants, because I am one, but even the most boring people in the world are still artistic in some way. When I say that clubs represent artistry, and some people who are clubs, they're like, oh, I'm not an artist. And I'm like, just because you don't paint or like play an instrument doesn't mean that you're not still artistic in the way that you live your life. How about the way you make your sandwiches? How about the way you tie your shoes? There's so many ways that you're just being an artist inherently throughout the way that you live your life. And clubs are taking that creativity and channeling it. How do you express yourself through the way that you communicate with the world? How do you communicate about who you are to the world? So hearts then are the emotion, but then clubs bring that to the realm of communication. You don't just get to operate through emotion and how you feel, but you have to start to communicate about how you feel through your speech, through the way that you dress, through your artistry, etc. So next we have the diamonds. And the diamonds represent the adulthood of life. They represent the fall, when you are reaping what you have sown. So the diamond is the symbol of value. And diamonds are the realm of action, because they are how are you creating value through the things that you do. So hearts were operating through emotion. Yeah, squirrel. Diamonds are operating through communication. Clubs are operating through communication, and so then diamonds come in to communicate through action. Diamonds teach the world through the things they do, through the way they act, through the way they sparkle, through the way they create value and worth. Diamonds are definitely the realm of money. They are the realm of finance. They are the realm of success. They are the earthly realm of material success. Putting your money where your mouth is and doing something, not just thinking about it, not just feeling it, but actually doing it. Diamonds are the doers, and we learn from them through the things that they do. And what they're doing is creating value and creating worth through the things that they do in their life. And so one of the things about the cards that I'll get into more at some point, but we all hold many different cards. Like, I'm a 4 of hearts and a 6 of clubs, but I also hold the 8 of hearts, the 2 of spades, the king of spades, the queen of hearts. I hold a bunch of different cards, and all of you do as well. And so each of the cards that you hold are different strengths and weaknesses that you can pull out and play in the game of life at any time. And that's why the cards are so cool, because they represent all these different pieces of ourselves that we can use whenever we need to employ them to like do better in the game of life. You know, life is not easy. It's a lot of hardship. And if you know better, okay, I have the Queen of Hearts in my hand at all points in time. When I want to tap into that intuitive, motherly, generous, feminine side of myself, I can. I always have that strength in my hand. It's always on my side. Here's all my cards. What do I need to use right now? Oh, I need to be the messenger right now. This is one of my main cards. It is the Messenger of Higher Purpose, and I'm pulling it right now to use in this video because I need to be the messenger of the higher purpose of the cards and spreading it. And so each of the cards that you hold, and I can't wait to tell you about what cards that you hold. I'm also creating a workbook about it so that you can find them out yourself without hitting me up. So you're going to hold many different cards. You operate in the emotional realm sometimes, in the communication realm sometimes, in the action realm sometimes, and then the spades are the realm of wisdom. You operate in all of these realms at some point. You and your cards that you hold, you're going to hold hearts and clubs and diamonds and spades. Oh, squirrel's gone crazy. So, as I have described each of the suits to you, just know that you have essences of each of those inside of you. And of course, you probably noticed that. With the cards, I'm never going to tell you anything that you don't already know. If I didn't say that in the last video. Never going to tell you anything you don't already know. Every card that you hold, you've experienced that side of yourself probably so many times throughout your life. I'm just here to point out to you, hey, look at what this card shows you about yourself. You have this too. You're really partnership oriented. You love to create things with others. You have sincere reverence for others in your life. How have you been a creator with others? How have you used partnership to your advantage to create success? How have you created value and worth through your partnerships? That's what the Two of Diamonds is all about. And so in that way, each of the cards and each of the suits and each of the numbers and each of the faces is symbols for many different things, symbols for many different essences and elements of just the way that the world naturally works that is embodied through you as a person. So that all being said, you hold every suit and you have many of the numbers. So just keep that in mind as you learn about your cards. You're definitely going to have every suit. So we had the emotion of the hearts, right, which then turns into the communication of the clubs. How do we communicate about what we love? Then we have the diamonds. How do we put into action what we want to communicate about what we love? And then the spades represent the old souls. The spades are the culmination of the emotion of the hearts, the communication of the clubs, and the action of the diamonds. They synthesize all of it into the realm of wisdom. And that is why the ace of spades that I literally just, whoa, that was cool. I just went to go look for the ace of spades in the deck that was sitting like this, and I just pulled right over into the ace of spades because the ace of spades equals magic. The ace is, you'll learn in my next video, but the ace is number 1 in each suit. It goes ace, 2, 3, 4 through king. The ace is the individual, the unique, the beginning of every suit. So the ace of hearts is the beginning of love. The ace of clubs is the beginning of communication. The ace of diamonds is the beginning of value. The ace of spades is the beginning of wisdom, which is magic, which is secrets, which is the occult, esoteric discipline of the cards. When you buy a deck of cards, the ace of spades is almost always going to be on the front, because the ace of spades is what represents the magic of this discipline and everything within it. So the ace of spades is the first of all of the cards to be a culmination of the wisdom of the hearts, the wisdom of the clubs, and the wisdom of the diamonds. They are culminating all of it into the realm of wisdom. And then, so spades represent wisdom because they are the old souls who have been through childhood. They've been through growing up and learning how to communicate about what you love. They've been through adulthood where you had to put your money where your mouth is and create value and worth through your actions. And now they're sitting back and reveling in the magic of old age. We don't, in the Western world, really anymore see old age as something to be sought after, which is really sad because in a lot of cultures, their elders are the most respected people. I hope that we get back to that as a society one day instead of just being so scared of getting old and not having any reverence for our elders, because our elders have seen it all. Your grandparents went through the Great freaking Depression. They went through world wars, many of them. They have seen so much, and we have so much to learn from our elders. And so spades kind of represent this deep, dark, old soul. And I say dark because you know, nobody's life is just all butterflies. When you get to the end of life, you have seen so much darkness, but you've also seen so much love and light. So old age is really like a culmination of everything else that you've been through in your life, and spades represent that. And because this is a symbology, the spade is actually the symbol of like a grave digging spade. And some of us might not really know what that tool is, but think of like a garden spade. You're like turning up the ground or digging up the ground for a grave with a spade. So that, I think, is where the spade actually comes from. But what the spades represent, again, is the old souls and the synthesis of all of the other suits, culminating into the magical wisdom of the spades. So I really hope you enjoyed this rundown of the suits. I hope it makes sense how those all work together. Once you get to the spades too, and then you die after old age, well, you're reborn at the beginning of life. It's all, every, you know, occult discipline has some element of like rebirth within it. And in the cards that comes through the number 9. 9 is always going to be rebirth. You'll find that out in Basics 3. And then the spades are also like evidence of getting to the end of life and needing to be reborn, to start all over. And really, whatever you study, from astrology to Ayurveda to human design, to any really occult discipline, there's always like an element of rebirth, because we all have to go through the fire at some point in our lives in order to be reborn anew from the ashes, like the phoenix. You know, that's just kind of naturally the way that growth works overall. And so each of the suits represents different elements of growth, different pieces of ourselves where we have strengths and weaknesses. You know, hearts are emotional, but that is a strength and a weakness. You know, clubs are really communicative and a lot in their mind, which is awesome, but also really bad. You can just overthink things as a club. And then diamonds, they are the material world, the earthly plane of getting stuff done, but that's a blessing as well as a curse, right? It's based on material possessions and stuff, which can be bad too. And then the spades are the old souls, which is wisdom, which is amazing, but it also represents darkness and like the necessity of being reborn. So in this way, I hope you understand how each of the suits is a symbol for something much more than it just looks like. You know, I can hardly play card games because the cards are just speaking to me so heavily. They're like giving me life advice. I can't even like play poker. But it's just so interesting, right, that we've played with these cards for thousands of years between so many cultures and not really known about the esoteric discipline of them. So I hope you're enjoying these basics videos, and I'm really excited to keep doing more for you. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Feel free to leave me some comments, some questions. Feel free to shoot me a DM or an email. Check out my website, katiethecardlady.com. Workbook coming soon. Book coming out a little bit after that, hopefully. And thank you again. Y'all rock. Mwah.